The text came at 6:47 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Family dinner tomorrow. 4 p.m. sharp. Don't be late this time. My brother Marcus had sent it to the family group chat, and within minutes the responses piled up. Mom's enthusiastic, can't wait to see everyone. Dad's practical, I'll bring the wine. My sister Jennifer's, finally, a normal Christmas. I stared at my phone in my downtown San Francisco office, the city lights glittering 43 floors below. My assistant had left hours ago. The building was empty except for security. I'd been reviewing Q4 projections, $847 million in revenue, up 340% from last year. Our Series D funding had closed at a $2.3 billion valuation 3 months ago. The IPO roadshow was scheduled for January. But to my family I was still playing pretend. I typed back, I'll be there. No response. They never responded to my messages unless it was to criticize or dismiss. Growing up I'd always been different. While Marcus excelled at football and Jennifer won debate competitions, I spent hours in my room teaching myself to code. At 12 I built my first app. A simple task manager that 17 people downloaded. Dad called it cute. Mom worried I was too isolated. By 16 I'd sold my first software company for $40,000. I used it to pay for community college while living at home. At least it's something, Dad had said, clearly disappointed I wasn't going to Stanford like Marcus. When I dropped out at 19 to work on my startup full-time, the family dinners became unbearable. You're throwing away your education, Mom had cried. This is a phase, Dad insisted. You'll come back to reality eventually. Marcus, fresh from his MBA, had been the cruelest. You're embarrassing us. My colleagues ask about my family and I have to explain that my kid brother is unemployed, living off credit cards, pretending to be the next Steve Jobs. That was 8 years ago. I was 27 now and nothing had changed in their eyes. I still drove a 7-year-old Honda Civic. Practical, reliable, invisible. I still wore the same J. Crew button-downs and affordable jeans. I still lived in a modest 1-bedroom apartment in Oakland, though I could afford penthouses in Pacific Heights. I'd learned early that showing success only made the mockery worse. Putting on airs, they'd call it. Living beyond your means. So I kept quiet. I showed up to holidays, nodded through their lectures, and returned to building something they couldn't begin to understand. Christmas Day arrived cold and gray. I drove across the Bay Bridge to my parents' house in Walnut Creek, the same sprawling suburban home where I'd grown up. Marcus's Tesla was already in the driveway, parked next to Jennifer's Mercedes SUV. My Honda looked pathetic beside them. I grabbed the wine I'd brought, a $400 bottle of Bordeaux that I'd pass off as $30, and walked to the door. Mom answered, her face lighting up before immediately shifting to concern. Ryan, you look thin. Are you eating properly? I'm fine, Mom. Still doing that computer thing? Yes, Mom. She sighed, ushering me inside. The house smelled like roasted turkey and disappointment. Marcus dominated the living room, holding court with Dad and Uncle Robert. He'd made partner at his consulting firm this year, the family's golden achievement. His suit probably cost more than my monthly rent, or at least what my family thought my rent was. Ryan. Marcus called out, his voice dripping with false enthusiasm. The entrepreneur has arrived. Tell me, how's the startup life? Still burning through investor money. Uncle Robert chuckled. Dad looked away. It's going well, I said quietly, setting the wine on the counter. Going well, Marcus repeated, making air quotes. That's what you always say. Means you're still broke but too proud to admit it. Jennifer emerged from the kitchen, her 2 kids trailing behind her. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, made decent money, and never let me forget it. Ryan, sweetie, when are you going to get a real job? You're almost 30. I have a job. Playing with apps isn't a job, she said, not unkindly. She genuinely believed she was helping. Marcus knows people. He could get you interviews. Entry-level positions probably, but it's a start. I appreciate it, but I'm fine. Mom called everyone to dinner. We settled around the table. The same table where I'd endured 1,000 lectures about responsibility and practicality and knowing my limitations. Dad carved the turkey with ceremonial precision. He'd been an accountant for 40 years, retiring last spring with a comfortable pension. Security was his religion and I was his heretic son. Robert was telling me about his grandson, Dad said, serving portions. Just accepted a position at Google. 6-figure salary, full benefits, stock options. That's the kind of opportunity you're missing, Ryan. Congratulations to him, I said. Marcus jumped in. See, that's what I don't understand about you. You got the skills. You could work anywhere in Silicon Valley. Instead, you're stubborn about this startup fantasy. What is it even called again? Quantum solutions. Right, quantum solutions. He said it like it was a joke. What does it even do? We develop AI-powered logistics optimization software for supply chain management. The table went silent for a moment. Then Marcus laughed. Jesus, Ryan. Even your elevator pitch sounds made up. AI-powered logistics optimization. Who talks like that? It's a real product, I said calmly. I'm sure it is, champ. He took a sip of wine. My wine, which he hadn't commented on. How many clients do you have? Several hundred enterprise customers. Enterprise customers, he repeated mockingly. Which means what? 10. And you're probably giving the software away for free just to say you have customers. I cut my turkey into precise pieces and said nothing. Marcus, leave your brother alone, Mom said, though her tone lacked conviction. I'm trying to help him, Mom. Someone needs to tell him the truth. Marcus leaned forward, his consultant persona fully activated. Ryan, I've seen 1,000 pitches like yours. Overcomplicated tech solutions to problems nobody actually has. You know what the failure rate is for startups? 90%. And you know why? Because people like you refuse to admit when it's time to cut losses and get real. I'm doing fine, I repeated. Fine, Dad scoffed. You're 27 years old, driving a car from college, living in Oakland. Nothing wrong with Oakland, I interjected, refusing to accept help from family who actually made it in the real world. Dad's voice rose slightly. Your brother is a partner at McKinsey. Jennifer runs a district sales team. What do you run? A website. We have offices in 3 cities and 247 employees, I said quietly. The table erupted in laughter. 247 employees. Marcus slapped the table. Ryan, come on. Sup? You don't have to keep up this charade with us. We're family. I'm not. You're in debt, aren't you? Jennifer asked, her voice soft with pity. That's what this is about. You're too embarrassed to tell us you're drowning. I'm not in debt. Then why are you still driving that piece of shit car? Marcus demanded. Why are you wearing the same clothes from 5 years ago? Why do you live in a 1-bedroom apartment when Jennifer offered to help you find something better? Because I don't need something better. No, Marcus said, his voice sharp now. Because you can't afford something better. And instead of admitting it, instead of accepting that you failed and moving on, you're sitting here lying to us about enterprise customers and employees. Uncle Robert cleared his throat. Marcus might be coming on strong, but he has a point, Ryan. I've been in business for 35 years. I know when someone's bullshitting. And kid, you're bullshitting. I set down my fork, my hands perfectly steady. I'm not lying. Then prove it, Marcus challenged. Show us something. A pay stub. A bank statement. Anything that proves this isn't just you playing entrepreneur with maxed out credit cards. I don't need to prove anything. Because you can't. He was getting louder now, emboldened by wine and family support. You know what I think? I think you're a fraud. I think you've been lying for 8 years and you're so deep in the lie that you actually believe it yourself. Mom reached across the table. Ryan, honey, if you're struggling financially, we can help. Your father and I have some savings. I don't need money, Mom. Pride won't pay your bills, Dad said firmly. And it's time you learned that lesson. The world doesn't reward dreamers, Ryan. It rewards people who show up, do the work, and build something real. I have built something real. Then where is it? Marcus spread his arms wide. Where's the proof? Where are the magazine covers? Where's the success? If you'd actually built $1 billion company like you're implying, we'd know about it. Everyone would know about it. I took a sip of water, buying myself a moment. They wouldn't believe anything I said. They'd made up their minds 8 years ago, and no amount of words would change them. Jennifer's husband Tom, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. You know, my company uses some supply chain software. Maybe I've heard of yours. What's it called again? Quantum Solutions. He pulled out his phone, typing quickly. Quantum Solutions, Logistics. AI. His face went pale. He stared at his screen, then at me, then back at his screen. Holy shit. What? Jennifer asked. Tom turned his phone around. On the screen was a TechCrunch article. Quantum Solutions raises $850 million Series D at $2.3 billion valuation. The table went silent. Marcus grabbed the phone, his face twisting as he read. This has to be a different company. Same name, but... Keep reading, I said quietly. His eyes scanned the article. I knew what he was seeing. The founder's name, Ryan Chin, age 27. The company description. The revenue figures. The client list that included Amazon, Walmart, FedEx, and 73 Fortune 500 companies. This is bullshit, Marcus said, but his voice had lost its confidence. This is some kind of scam. These articles can be faked. Dad's phone buzzed loudly on the table. Then Mom's. Then Jennifer's. Then Uncle Robert's. They all looked down at the same moment, their faces registering identical shock. The CNBC breaking news alert flashed across every screen. Youngest billion-dollar CEO revealed. Ryan Chin, 27, takes Quantum Solutions public in landmark IPO. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad just stared. Marcus's face had gone completely white. No, Jennifer whispered. This can't be. Uncle Robert was frantically typing on his phone, pulling up article after article. Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, CNN Business. Every major outlet was running the same story. My phone began ringing. I glanced at the screen. My head of communications. I declined the call. It rang again immediately, my CFO. I declined again. Mom couldn't finish the sentence. The IPO wasn't supposed to announce until Monday, I said, my voice even. But apparently CNBC got early access to the S-1 filing. My team's been trying to reach me for the past 20 minutes. Tom had pulled up my LinkedIn profile on his phone, his hands shaking. Jesus Christ. PO and founder Quantum Solutions. Stanford dropout. I never went to Stanford, I corrected. I went to community college. Dropped out after one semester. But the articles say, Jennifer started. The articles are correct. I was accepted to Stanford. Turned it down for community college because it was cheaper and I could work on my company at the same time. Marcus was scrolling through his phone like a madman, his face growing redder. This says you have clients in 47 countries. This says your revenue is projected at $1.2 billion next year. This says... He looked up at me, his eyes wild. This says you're worth $3.7 billion. The number hung in the air. The valuation is based on estimated holdings, I said. After the IPO, depending on stock performance, it could be higher or lower. Dad made a sound like he'd been punched in the stomach. Jennifer was crying, though I wasn't sure if it was shock or something else. Uncle Robert had gone completely silent, his face ashen. Marcus stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. This is fake. This has to be fake. You couldn't have. You were living at home. You were broke. You drove a shitty car. I still drive a shitty car, I said. It gets me where I need to go. But why? Mom's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell us? I looked at her, really looked at her. Would you have believed me? The question silenced the room. 8 years ago when I told you I was starting a company, you called it a phase. 3 years ago when we landed our first major client, you assumed I was exaggerating. Last year when we opened international offices, you thought I was in debt. I spoke calmly without anger, just stating facts. Every time I tried to share my success, you dismissed it. Eventually I stopped trying. Marcus sat back down slowly, his hands trembling. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected gently. You decided I was a failure and nothing I said could change your minds. So I let you believe what you wanted to believe. Dad's phone rang. He answered it automatically, his voice hollow. Hello? This is Richard Chin. What? A reporter? No, I don't have any comment about. He looked at me, his face crumbling. Yes, he's my son. No, I can't, I need to go. He hung up. Within seconds, Mom's phone rang. Then Jennifer's. Then Marcus's. Don't answer, I said quietly. They'll find you eventually, but you don't have to talk to them tonight. They. Jennifer whispered. Reporters. Journalists. Business press. I'm the youngest self-made billionaire of the year apparently. It's a story. I checked my phone, 47 missed calls now. My communications team will handle most of it, but family members of newly public CEOs always get attention. Especially when the IPO is this size. Uncle Robert finally spoke, his voice hoarse. How much is the IPO? We're offering 18% of the company. Current projections put the opening valuation at $4.2 billion, but that could change based on market conditions. The numbers were incomprehensible to them. I could see it in their faces. Marcus's phone kept buzzing. He looked down at the screen, his face going from white to green. I'm getting messages from everyone. My partners. My clients. Everyone's asking. He looked up at me. Everyone's asking if I'm related to you. You are, I said simply. They're asking why I never mentioned it. What did you tell them? He couldn't answer. Jennifer's phone rang again. This time she looked at the caller ID and gasped. It's Sarah from the PTA. How does she already know? It's the top business story in the country right now, I said. Everyone knows. Tom was still scrolling through articles, his voice numb as he read aloud. Chen's company revolutionized supply chain logistics with proprietary AI algorithms that reduce shipping costs by an average of 37%. Major clients include Amazon, Walmart, Target, FedEx, UPS, DHL, and over 500 enterprise customers worldwide. The company employs 247 people across offices in San Francisco, Seattle, and Singapore. 247, Dad repeated. You said that earlier. We laughed. I know. Mom was crying openly now. Ryan, I'm so sorry. We didn't. It's fine, Mom. It's not fine. Her voice broke. We've been terrible to you. For years we've dismissed everything you've done, and all this time you were. She couldn't finish. My phone rang again. This time it was my board chairman. I had to take it. Excuse me, I said, standing. I need to handle this. I walked out to the backyard, answering the call. Did I know? I saw the alerts. Ryan, what the hell? You're supposed to be managing your family tonight. Instead, you're trending #1 on Twitter, and our stock price is already moving in pre-market speculation. I'm handling it. Handle it faster. We need you for a press call in 30 minutes. The opening bell is in 3 days, and this leaked announcement is creating chaos. I'll be there in 45 minutes. Ryan. 45 minutes, Doug. I'm with my family. I hung up and stood in the cold backyard looking at the house where I'd grown up. Through the window I could see them all still sitting at the table, their faces illuminated by their phone screens, scrolling through article after article about a person they thought they knew. When I walked back inside, the atmosphere had shifted. They weren't hostile anymore. They were terrified. Marcus stood up immediately. Ryan, I need to apologize. I was completely out of line earlier. I had no idea. It's fine, I said, cutting him off. It's not fine. I was cruel. I said terrible things. You said what you believed was true. But I was wrong. Completely wrong. And I need you to know that I'm sorry, and if there's anything I can do. There's nothing to do, Marcus. I checked my watch. I need to leave. I have a press call in 40 minutes and traffic back to the city will be heavy. You're leaving? Mom asked, her voice small. I have responsibilities. But it's Christmas. I know, Mom. But when you're the CEO of a company going public, you don't get holidays off. Dad stood up, his movements stiff and uncertain. He'd never been uncertain in his life. Son, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Yes, I do. His voice was firmer now. I was wrong about you. Completely wrong. I thought I was teaching you about responsibility and hard work, but you were already living those values. You were just living them in a way I didn't understand. I nodded slowly. I know you thought you were helping. I wasn't helping. I was hurting. And I'm sorry. Jennifer approached cautiously like I might disappear. Ryan, can we start over? Can we have a relationship that's not based on us misunderstanding everything about your life? Maybe, I said honestly. But it'll take time. Uncle Robert cleared his throat. For what it's worth, kid, I'm impressed. More than impressed. What you've built is extraordinary. Thank you. Marcus was still standing, his hands shaking slightly. Ryan, I need you to understand something. My colleagues, my partners, they're all asking me why I never mentioned being related to you. They're questioning my judgment. They're wondering what else I might have missed. What do you want me to say, Marcus? I don't know. I've spent my entire career being the successful one. The one everyone looks up to. And now everyone's looking at me like I'm an idiot for not seeing what my own brother was doing. I'm sorry that's difficult for you, I said, and I meant it. That's it? That's all you have to say? What else is there? You treated me like a failure for 8 years. Now you're upset because that makes you look bad. I don't know how to fix that for you. He sat down heavily, his head in his hands. Mom walked over, her eyes red. Will you come back? For another dinner, I mean. A real one where we actually listen to you. Maybe. After the IPO settles down. When will that be? Few months. Maybe 6. 6 months, she repeated sadly. That's so long. It's how long it takes. My phone buzzed again. My communications director probably having a heart attack. I needed to go. I should leave. Wait, Jennifer said suddenly. The wine you brought. Tom opened it earlier. He said it tasted expensive. It was $400. Her eyes widened. You brought $400 wine and let us think it was cheap. You wouldn't have believed it was expensive. Just like you didn't believe anything else. I walked to the door and they followed me like uncertain children, not sure what to do or say. Dad caught my arm gently. Ryan, I know I don't have the right to ask, but are you happy? With everything you've built? I considered the question. I'm satisfied. The work is meaningful. The problems we solve are real. And I built something that matters. But are you happy? Happiness is complicated, Dad. But I'm okay. Better than okay. He nodded, his eyes wet. That's all I ever wanted for you. No, I said gently. What you wanted was for me to be safe and secure in a way you understood. What I wanted was to build something extraordinary. Those aren't the same thing. I stepped outside into the cold December air. Behind me, I could hear Mom crying again and Jennifer trying to comfort her. Marcus followed me to my car. Ryan, wait. Please. I turned. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know that I'm proud of you. Even if I was too stupid to see it before, I'm proud of you now. Okay. Is that all you're going to say? What do you want me to say, Marcus? That it's fine? That we're good? Or not good? You spent 8 years telling me I was worthless. One apology doesn't erase that. I know it doesn't. But maybe over time. Maybe. I got in my car, my shitty, reliable 7-year-old Honda Civic, and drove away from the house where I'd never quite belonged. My phone rang continuously the entire drive back to San Francisco. By the time I reached my office, the story had exploded across every news platform. Boy geniuso. Silicon Valley's youngest billionaire. The logistics revolution. My communications team had set up a full press operation. My CFO was handling analyst calls. My CEO was coordinating with the underwriters. Everything was controlled chaos, exactly how I liked it. Doug, my chairman, grabbed me the moment I walked in. Thank God. CNBC wants an exclusive interview tomorrow morning. Bloomberg wants you for their evening show. And we have 17 requests from. Schedule them, I said. Whatever makes sense for the IPO. Your family is trending on Twitter, he added carefully. People found your brother's LinkedIn. They're comparing his career to yours. Let them. It's not pretty, Ryan. It's not my problem. He studied me. You don't seem upset. Why would I be upset? I built a company worth $4.2 billion. My family's discomfort with that reality is their issue, not mine. Cold, he observed. Practical, I corrected. The press call went smoothly. I answered questions about our technology, our growth strategy, our competitive advantages. I was calm, articulate, confident. Everything a newly public CEO should be. When it finally ended at 11 p.m., I checked my phone. 43 text messages from family members. I read through them quickly. Mom, I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Please forgive us. Dad, son, we need to talk. Really talk. Jennifer, the kids are asking about their famous uncle. Can we visit? Marcus, everyone at work is asking about you. I don't know what to tell them. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I pulled up the CNBC article again, reading it properly for the first time. The photo they'd used was from our Series C announcement. Me standing in front of our office, looking serious and focused. The headline called me the silent genius, because I'd avoided media attention for so long. If they only knew the real reason I'd stayed silent. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. Saw the news. Congrats. You always said you'd do something big. Professor Martinez. Professor Martinez. My computer science teacher from community college. The only person who'd believed in me when I was 19 and building my first real prototype in his lab after hours. I texted back, thanks. Couldn't have done it without your lab access. His response came immediately, you would have found a way. You always do. I smiled, set down my phone and looked out at the San Francisco skyline. Somewhere across the bay, my family was probably still sitting around that dinner table trying to make sense of what had happened. But I wasn't angry at them anymore. I wasn't hurt or bitter or looking for revenge. I was just done. Done pretending their approval mattered. Done shrinking myself to fit their expectations. Done explaining or defending or justifying the choices that had led me here. I'd built something extraordinary, exactly like I'd promised myself I would. And if they couldn't see it until the whole world was watching, that said everything about them and nothing about me. The IPO would open in 3 days. My company would become a household name. My net worth would be public record. And my family would have to reconcile the person they'd dismissed with the person I'd actually become. But that was their problem to solve. I had $1 billion company to run. I pulled out my laptop and opened the Q1 projections. We had expansion plans for Europe and South America. We had 3 major product launches scheduled. We had a world to change, one optimized supply chain at a time. My phone buzzed again, another text from Marcus. Please call me. We need to talk about this. I turned my phone face down and got back to work. Some conversations could wait. Some conversations weren't worth having at all. And some victories were sweetest when you didn't need anyone else to validate them. The breaking news alert had said it all. Youngest $1 billion CEO revealed. My family had just been the last ones to know.